Can you imagine a world without borders where everyone is just, well, everyone? A place where national anthems become as antiquated as the dodo and the only passport you carry is your humanity. Sounds like a plot straight out of a utopian sci-fi novel, right? But let's entertain this thought for a moment, shall we? Welcome to the hypothetical realm of world unity. A realm where geographical lines on a map don't dictate who gets to have the bigger slice of the global pie. A realm where our collective identity is not fragmented by flags, languages, or cultures, but instead is harmoniously woven together with the threads of unity. In this world, we're not American, British, Indian, or Chinese. We are simply humans. Our shared values, common goals, and collective struggles transcend the barriers of nationalism. But let's not get too carried away with this idyllic vision just yet. As tantalizing as the concept of world unity is, it's not without its potential pitfalls. For every shining beacon of global camaraderie, there lurks a shadow of homogeneity, threatening to eclipse our cultural diversity. For every promise of universal prosperity, there's an undercurrent of fear about the concentration of power. So why are we indulging in this seemingly absurd thought experiment? Because it's essential to challenge our preconceived notions, to question our entrenched beliefs, and to dare to envision a world that could be radically different from the one we know. In this video, we will delve into the intriguing concept of world unity. We will weigh the potential benefits against the possible drawbacks. We will examine the hurdles standing in the way of this grand union and make some audacious predictions about how it might come about. So, prepare yourself for a roller coaster ride of ideas, paradoxes, and speculations, all wrapped up in a healthy dose of sarcasm and wit. Buckle up, as we are about to embark on a journey exploring the concept of world unity. A world without borders, where everyone is equal, sounds like a utopia, doesn't it? Now let's just imagine this for a moment. A planet where every man, woman, and child stands shoulder to shoulder, not as citizens of a specific nation, but as citizens of the world. Intriguing, right? Well, let's delve into the positive side effects of this global unity. First and foremost, the concept of war could become obsolete. Countries would no longer have reasons to fight each other for land or resources. The idea of global peace isn't just a pipe dream, it could be a reality. A world where the sounds of gunfire and bomb blasts are replaced by the harmonious chime of unity. Then there's the elimination of economic disparity. Today, the gap between the rich and the poor is wider than the Grand Canyon. But in a united world, it would be as narrow as a hair's breadth. With shared resources and equal opportunities, everyone would have a fair shot at prosperity. Imagine the world's wealth not hoarded by a select few, but distributed evenly among all. Poverty, hunger, and homelessness could be things of the past. A united world would also mean shared knowledge and mutual progress. We'd have the best minds from across the globe collaborating, innovating, and pushing the boundaries of human potential. It would be like having an all-star team, but instead of dunking basketballs, they'd be solving climate change, curing diseases, and perhaps even figuring out how to make a decent cup of tea. There's also the cultural perspective to consider. Unity could lead to a beautiful blend of cultures. We'd have the chance to appreciate, understand, and learn from each other's traditions, art, and cuisine. Imagine digging into a plate of sushi with a side of tacos while listening to a reggae version of a Mozart symphony. Sounds like a hoot, doesn't it? But there's a catch. Yes, a but, because as we all know, there's always a but. This utopia of unity, while sounding like the plot of a feel-good movie, does come with its own set of challenges. It's not as simple as singing Kumbaya around a global campfire. Unity doesn't automatically equate to uniformity. Differences in opinions, ideologies, and beliefs would still exist. And managing these differences on a global scale, well, that's a whole different kettle of fish. Then there's the question of governance. Who would rule this united world? How would decisions be made? Who would ensure that everyone's interests are protected? Unity indeed seems like a golden ticket to a utopian world, but is it really that simple? As we move forward, let's delve deeper into the darker side of this unity and the hurdles we'd have to overcome. Stay tuned, because it's going to be a bumpy ride. So we've talked about the rainbow side of unity, but what about the thunderstorm that follows? Surely a world united under a single banner must come with its own set of ominous clouds, right? Well, you're absolutely correct. Let's begin with the potential loss of cultural diversity. Imagine a planet where every corner of the globe hums the same tune, dances the same dance, and speaks the same language. It sounds convenient, yes, but oh, how boring it would be. Our world is a rich tapestry of cultures, each with its own unique color, texture, and pattern. Each culture contributes to the global narrative, adding depth, contrast, and a bit of spice to the story of humanity. Now picture all of that richness diluted, the vibrant colors faded into a single shade of gray. That's the risk we run by unifying the world. Then there's the risk of a single ruling power. Imagine all the world's power vested in one entity, one body, one person. It's a chilling thought, isn't it? A single ruling power could mean the end of democracy as we know it. The power to dictate laws, control resources, and define right from wrong for the entire world is a lot to bestow on one entity. The risk of corruption, misuse of power, and totalitarianism is too great. The balance of power, checks and balances, and the voice of dissent are all crucial to maintaining a fair and just society. In a united world, these could all potentially be lost. And let's not forget about the possible economic implications. A single global economy might sound like a ticket to prosperity, but let's not forget, with one economy comes one currency, one market, and one set of economic policies. The economic diversity we currently enjoy allows for competition, innovation, and resilience in the face of financial crises. If one part of the world economy takes a hit, others can help to cushion the fall. But in a united world, if the economy sinks, we all sink together. Lastly, there's the question of identity. In a world united, how do we maintain our individual identities, our unique perspectives and experiences? How do we ensure that the voices of the few are not drowned out by the voices of the many? In a world striving for unity, we must be careful not to lose sight of the individual. So there we have it. A world united isn't all roses and rainbows. It's a complex, multifaceted issue that requires careful consideration. Unity is a beautiful concept, but we must also acknowledge and prepare for the thunderstorm that may follow the rainbow. You must be wondering, if unity has its pros and cons, why hasn't it happened yet? Well, let's dive into the hurdles. Imagine a world united, like a gigantic global family, where we all sit together at the world's longest dinner table. Sounds lovely, right? But then Uncle Bob starts arguing with Aunt Sally about who makes the best apple pie. Now replace apple pie with political power and you've got one of the biggest hurdles to world unity. Political power struggles are like the spicy ingredient in our global stew. They add a bit of zest, but can also make the whole dish unpalatable. Each country, each leader, each political entity is eager to hold the reins of power. They want to guide the world according to their vision, their ideology, and when everyone wants to steer the ship, it's bound to hit a few icebergs. Then we have the cultural differences, the myriad flavors that make our world so diverse and fascinating. Imagine trying to get everyone to agree on a single global anthem. Would it be a pop song, a classical symphony, a folk tune, or maybe a techno beat? Our cultural differences make us unique, but they also complicate the idea of a united world. Now let's talk about economic disparities. Picture a global potluck where some bring caviar and champagne while others can only afford bread and water. Economic disparities create a stark divide between the haves and the have-nots. And this divide isn't just about wealth, it's about access to resources, opportunities, and a fair shot at a decent life. Achieving economic equality on a global scale, well, that's like trying to bake a cake without flour. Nationalism, oh nationalism. You know that feeling when your favorite football team wins and you feel a surge of pride? Now magnify that by 1,000, add a dash of historical complexities and a pinch of territorial disputes, and you've got nationalism. It's a potent force that binds people together but can also drive a wedge between nations. And then there's the issue of trust, or rather, the lack thereof. Let's face it, we humans aren't exactly known for our unwavering trust in each other. This mistrust is amplified on a global scale, making it one of the most formidable hurdles to world unity. So you see, world unity isn't as simple as holding hands and singing Kumbaya. It's a complex, multifaceted issue that involves navigating a labyrinth of political, cultural, economic, and emotional hurdles. But here's the thing. Just because something is difficult doesn't mean it's impossible. We've climbed mountains, we've ventured into space, we've even managed to agree on a universal time standard, although I'm still not entirely sure how daylight saving works. Yes, the path to unity is riddled with obstacles. Political power struggles, cultural differences, economic disparities, and nationalism are just a few of the hurdles we must overcome. The road to unity is indeed a rocky one, filled with hurdles that seem almost insurmountable. But let's not forget, every hurdle is also an opportunity for a spectacular leap. So let's keep leaping, shall we? The path to unity is indeed a rocky one, filled with hurdles that seem almost insurmountable. So, we've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly of world unity. But what does the future hold? Let's delve into the fascinating world of predictions. Now, I'm no Nostradamus, but I've got a few ideas up my sleeve. The future of world unity, my dear listeners, could potentially be shaped by three main factors: technology, global crises, and the indefatigable human spirit. First, let's talk about technology, the double-edged sword of our modern world. On one hand, it's given us cat videos and endless scrolling through social media. But on the other, it's also the catalyst for unprecedented global connectivity. Imagine a world where the internet isn't just a tool for sharing memes, but a platform for global governance. A digital democracy, if you will, where every voice matters and decisions are made based on the collective will of the people. Sounds like a dystopian sci-fi novel, doesn't it? But the truth is, we're not far off from turning fiction into reality. Now let's move on to global crises. Now I know what you're thinking. How can crises lead to unity? Well, it's simple. When the chips are down, humanity tends to band together. Remember the global response to the pandemic of 2020? The world united like never before, working together to find a cure. So in a twisted, absurdist way, global crises could be the catalyst for world unity. Last but not least, let's talk about the human spirit. The human spirit. That indefinable quality that keeps us going, even in the face of adversity. It's the driving force behind every major change in history, and it's this very spirit that could lead us to world unity. Imagine a world where empathy and understanding triumph over division and discord. A world where we realize that our similarities far outweigh our differences. A world where we finally understand that we're all just passengers on spaceship Earth. But let's not forget, every coin has two sides. The road to world unity could also be fraught with challenges. We might have to grapple with issues of identity, sovereignty, and power dynamics. And let's not even get started on the bureaucratic nightmare of creating a global government. In the end, the question isn't whether world unity is possible. The question is whether we're willing to make the necessary sacrifices and take the leap of faith required to achieve it. Will we choose to put aside our differences and work towards a common goal? Or will we remain mired in our petty squabbles, oblivious to the potential of a united world? Whether or not world unity will happen, only time will tell. But one thing's for sure, the journey towards it promises to be one hell of a ride. So buckle up, folks. The future awaits. So after all this, is world unity a dream worth chasing or a nightmare to avoid? Let's take a moment to reflect upon what we've traversed so far. We began our journey with the idea of a utopian world, a place where everyone is united, where borders are as obsolete as floppy disks, and where global cooperation is the norm, not the exception. Imagine the possibilities. A world where resources are shared, where cultural exchange is as easy as passing the salt at dinner, and where the human race progresses as one. But then we tiptoed into the darker side of this utopian dream. Like a coin, unity too has two sides. A world united could mean a world with less diversity, less individuality. Imagine a world where everyone agrees on everything, a bit like a never-ending family reunion where Uncle Bob insists that his potato salad recipe is the best. And everyone nods in agreement. Could get a bit dull, don't you think? We then navigated the rugged terrain of the hurdles standing between us and world unity. Nationalism, differing economic systems, cultural barriers. They're like a series of speed bumps on the road to unity, but as we all know, speed bumps are not dead ends. Finally, we ventured into the realm of predictions. How might this elusive world unity come about? Through a global crisis that forces us to unite? Or perhaps gradual incremental changes over time, like the slow drip of water that eventually fills the bucket. So, where does this leave us? Is world unity a sunlit utopia to strive for, or a shadowy dystopia to shun? The pros and cons, the hurdles and predictions, they all paint a complex picture. On one hand, a united world could usher in an era of unprecedented progress. On the other, it could lead to a world devoid of the vibrant diversity that makes us human. World unity, a dream or a nightmare? That, my dear friends, is for you to decide. And there we have it, the concept of world unity, dissected and served on a silver platter. A delicious feast for thought, isn't it? We've journeyed through the utopian dreamlands of unity, tiptoed around its shadowy corners, scaled the hurdles standing in the way, and even dared to make a few predictions. So what do you make of it? Is world unity a tantalizing prospect or a terrifying nightmare? Perhaps you're perched comfortably on the fence, sipping tea and munching on biscuits, undecided. That's quite all right. The beauty of this concept is that it's open to interpretation, so why not let your thoughts roam free in the wild plains of the comments section? Let's foster a healthy debate, shall we? After all, ideas grow best when they're shared and challenged. Until next time, keep contemplating, keep questioning, and remember, the world is what we make of it.